Welcome back to Flat Earth's Marks. Let's take a moment and have a look at another side of Flat Earth. The title has nothing to do with bad language, although it is perhaps worth thinking on for a moment. It's not really for any of us to call someone out about their use of bad language. I come from a decidedly working class background. Some of you may even hear the hint of an accent in my speech, so I'm not particularly bothered by other people's use of bad language. At times, and used in the right context, the odd curse word can be extremely effective, but if we believe we have something to say to others, should we not bear in mind that they might not be so understanding? That's okay as far as personal taste goes. But if they take exception to your words, how likely are they to listen or to present what you say to someone else? I'll spare you the "think of the children" plea, but how many people would present a well-reasoned argument by a guy who tells us that their opponents are effing retards? How important is it to you that the things you have carefully crafted into a fine argument are then heard and understood by as many people as possible? Are we shooting ourselves in the foot before we've barely left the ground? But enough said on that, otherwise I begin to sound like my grandmother. So on we go to deeper things. It takes little more than a quick glance into the realms of science to realise that it's been swamped in technical terminology. Yes, there are times when certain terms have very specific meanings, but in many cases, technical terms do nothing more than mystify a subject. Why tell someone they cause you cognitive dissonance when you really mean they make you sick? Another commonly used term is confirmation bias. Again, some psychobabble term that simply means favouritism. Aren't megacriometeorites simply big hailstones? And isn't Gegenschein just moonlight? Let alone the fact that it's not even an English word. For our communication to be effective, it needs to be understandable. If we want to convey our thoughts and ideas to someone else, why do we not say so simply? 21st century humanity seems to be suffering from a chronic case of big word disease, and one wonders why we should use one syllable if three might make us sound clever. To borrow a sentiment from my grandmother, it's not big and it's not clever. There's something else that we seem quite happy to do, and that is to abbreviate things or to use initials to the point that one needs a dictionary to follow a conversation. I really don't want to turn this into a NASA bashing. I think they've done that quite well enough for themselves without me adding to it. But consider that we have everything from the Discover satellite that's not even spelt the way it's spoken, and implies that it's out in the cosmos finding lots of new things that are then boldly announced before the world. Go and have a look at the Discover satellite and see what it's really doing. You'll soon realise that it's not some guy snapping the wonders of the universe on his iPhone and sending them back for all to enjoy. At best, it sends a bunch of metadata back down to the guys on the ground, and they turn it into something straight out of Photoshop, depending on how they choose to interpret it on the day. And I'll spare you the various translations of the word NASA. Take a cursory look around. You'll find it. Then ask yourself why an organisation, spoken of in glowing terms, chooses a name for itself from an old Aramaic word meaning deception. Perhaps a little more chilling is the fact that the Vatican spends a considerable portion of its wealth to sit on top of Mount Graham in Arizona inside a giant telescope called Lucifer. What are they thinking? A third problem seems to lie in the fact that we are apt to overuse some words to the point that their meanings are robbed of their value. Two that spring to mind are the words dome and firmament, which at present are used often and interchangeably when they are really two different concepts. If you go and take a closer look at both of those words, it may help to avoid some of the confusion about the roof above this world. A third word that seems to have sprung back to life is the word sinusoidal, that all too many people seem happy to use to describe every wavy line that suits their argument, and as if to lend some authority to what they say. The word sinusoidal is simply a mathematical term. It describes a wavy line on a particular type of graph, and not every wavy line is sinusoidal. So why don't we stop using these words when they're wrong? In most cases, they're simply nonsense. And so, in closing, perhaps we could be a little wiser about the use of words in our language and consider what they really convey to the person who hears them. It pleases me to think that what I say should be heard by as many people as possible. And so why would I express the things I say in terms that people can't understand or that some people simply find offensive? Next time you listen to someone's explanation of the world around you, consider also the nature of the words they're using. A closer look might yield better results from the meanings of some of the words they use. Thanks for listening.